Hi, everyone, and welcome to the End of Life Journey and Beyond, the Sands of Time. My name is Lisa Strahs-Lorenc, and I'm a bereavement specialist. And hi, Susan. It's good to see you.
Hi, Lisa. So good to see you as well. Still have my cold a little bit, so bear with me if I cough through our session today.
Sure.
But it's chilly out there, right? Today, I think it was 28. I woke up pretty cold here on Long Island.
Yes.
So today we're talking about an important subject, right? And it's regarding changes, the changes in our lives and how to deal with them and how to cope with them. And we're hoping to give you a few tips and ideas on how to do that in a better way. So, changes changes are never inevitable in life, right? We know this. How to cope with these changes is how we cope with them is not something that you haven't heard before, right? We've all heard this before. It's how you deal with it, it's how you cope with it. But we tend to lose a little sight of that when we're going through the um, the change. Now, we lose many things in our lives. We all know this. We suffer loss after divorce, right? People lose their homes.
Yes.
People lose their pets along
People
their
lose their
journey.
jobs. Yep.
Jobs. And also a big thing that occurs is empty nest syndrome. If you do have children, right? And now they're leaving home and they're going off to school, that, believe it or not, is a loss,
Yes, it is.
and we lose possessions along the way as well. Whether things that have been stolen in my life that are your prized possessions, different things along the way. But there's many avenues and ways that loss can occur. So changes disrupt routines and feelings of just being normal,
Yes.
right? They can cause anxiety, changes in your appetite, depression, sadness, and cause irritability just every day.
Yes.
Changes cause problems with sleeping, stomach issues, tension headaches, the inability to concentrate on things. But it's important to know that we all have a lot of changes in different seasons in our life, and we have choices. We all have choices, even before a loss and even after a loss. And the loss can begin, when your loved one gets ill, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe we know the progression, we know where the timeline's going to unfold, and it can continue a long time after. So being aware, realizing that changes can occur, and making wise choices along the way are really key. Would you agree?
Yeah. But also being in touch with your feelings about those changes. I hear a lot
Yes,
of
of
people saying,
course.
well, if only they were this, or if only this. And, you can't, and it won't. And it isn't the same, and nothing's going to be the same with all the things that happen. And we're talking about, let's say, a diagnosis. How come I'm not as healthy, or I'm not as energetic, or I'm not as hungry? Or, I mean, those are just small changes within your body or somebody else, who's close to you. And then, of course, all the changes that happen as the disease progresses. And then, of course, after loss, and loss, you said, comes in many different forms. We were talking about the holidays recently, and of course, all the changes now. The same family's not there, the same person's not there. It doesn't appear the same. And yes, you mourn what you had before and what it was like before. But to deal with those changes, you have to adapt some new behaviors and some new acceptances. It's not
Exactly.
easy. Change is very difficult for people. Very difficult.
And sometimes I read something this week and I jotted it down here. It was just a sentence, but it made me think twice. It said the automatic negative thinking patterns that we can have as human beings, they undermine our ability to think about the positive.
Sure.
And it's so true.
Yes.
It's so true because it just, it can take over.
It
Can
can.
take over, and it takes strength to be able to know that and to focus on that.
Yeah, we all need to know the difference between, of course, the circumstance that we can't do anything about, and yet our attitude and what we decide to do with that. A long time ago, goodness, back in the 70s, we all had this serenity prayer. I'm older than you are, but that serenity prayer was sitting on a piece of parchment in my dorm room. And I might even, I'm looking around here to see in my office whether I still have it here. But it was something about how God grant me the serenity to accept the things I can change the things I can accept, and know the difference, or something like that. And it was really about looking at everything and trying to figure out, okay, so what can I do anything about this? Maybe not, but I can control how I feel or what I do in response to it. And that's why some people, it's interesting. There's a book, by the way, that I want to just, throw out there. A lot of people going through cancer and treatments and things like that. There was a book that I found a long time ago when my husband had pancreatic cancer, and it was called How to Fight Cancer from Within. And it was the psychological part of how you monitor your own body and how you monitor stress and all. And would that change the whole cancer? Maybe not, but it does change inside how you're dealing with things. And that's got to help in some way.
Yeah, and you just reminded me of the same thing that a person deals with at the end of their life, knowing that it's the end of their life. You do have a choice there as well to accept, right, the changes that you cannot change, like in that powerful prayer, or not to, and to be angry and bitter. But you know what? It's going to affect the whole last 3 months or 6 months or 12 months of your life.
Yes.
So you can accept certain things and to leave in a much better place with less anxiety and less fear.
Yes.
And that's one of the things I stress to individuals and their families as an end-of-life doula, that, we have those choices to make. And it's really hard. It's
really
not
hard.
easy to make the choice to just accept what's happening.
Yes.
But it's integral. I mean, it's imperative. That's a better way, that you do accept certain things and certain changes.
Yes.
For
Yes.
your health and well-being, honestly, right?
Yes. And then you have the changes, of course, after loss. I mean, everything is different. Everything in the home, everything outside, everything feels different. Your interactions are different. Routines are different. You might have been used to somebody paying all the bills and now they're not. Everything, it's like a yin yang. It's like that, that thing together. It isn't together anymore. And now you got to figure out, well, what are you going to do now with these changes?
Right. And we talk about that a lot in a lot of our videos, but it's just really about pre-planning some things, being mindful, thinking about the future and what's to come, thinking about the different scenarios to come now that these changes have occurred.
Yes.
And, how can we ease into them and make them a little bit better, as they come and hit us full force along the way.
Yes.
Right.
And
That's
there
not
are
easy
ways.
to do.
Yeah, there are ways to regain control. It's a matter of trying to figure out whether you can allow yourself. And sometimes people hold on. They hold on because that's what they know. That's what they always knew. And it's very hard to think anything else. But there are some real important suggestions that we can make and that are written.
One is, Lisa, to focus on your strengths.
Yes.
Maybe make a list of your strengths. What are you good at? What have you always been good at before? To focus on those strengths as you're moving forward and to bring those into play, right?
Yes. Yes. That's great. I was thinking about routines. Everybody has their routines.
Definitely.
And you can create a new routine that now fits better your new life, your new existence, and see if that helps de-stress you a bit. Because trying to do this old thing that really doesn't fit anymore, it's like fitting a round peg into a square hole. It doesn't work. And so now you're going to create something based on where you are at this point.
Right.
It's going to be different, but you do little steps at a time.
And consistently, even if it means writing them down, think about the positives.
Mhm.
Think about the positives versus the negatives, right? And even if you need to write them down and constantly every day remind yourself of the positives that are in your life right now, reframe the situation, shift your perspective.
Yes,
And that
that's
shift
big.
your perspective, that works.
That's big.
It works because that's something that I've worked on in my life, and with several changes that I've gone through that I'm not so happy about. But if you shift the perspective on that situation, you can turn that situation into something else instead of it being the dark, negative, woe is me
Yes,
situation.
yes, yes. And that, the thing about isolating yourself is that what happens is you put yourself into this like little bubble and it's real hard to get out of it. And so I think that connecting with other people, even if it's just virtually, something so that you're not sitting all by yourself like that. That also helps you get more comfortable with, change. Um,
Yeah.
to put new people in your life, that's very helpful. Especially people who may understand your circumstances better than maybe the people who you had before. You can keep those people with you, but they may not relate, to what you're going through now. So,
And especially remember though, it really depends. Lisa and I don't talk all over the place and apply this to everybody, no matter what. It depends on your timeline. So for somebody who's just really lost some close intimacy in their lives and that very, very close person, you might be listening to this and thinking, yeah, okay, I don't think so. I'm not ready for any of this. But we're just tapping into some of the subjects
yeah,
that revolve around change because you may not be ready for it at all, and that's okay too.
that's right.
So in that case, really think about nurturing yourself.
Yep.
It's really a time to be gentle.
Yes.
Just think gentle and take care of myself, my
Yep.
own well-being, whether it be taking a bubble bath every day
Yeah.
or whether it be sitting in your reader, so maybe read. There are many books out there on after loss. You
Yeah.
can find many books on that subject, but maybe it might be a brain break book, and that romance novel that you like to read all the time. Bring some of that. Take care of yourself, baby yourself.
Yes.
That's what I think, right?
Yes. Me too. Me too. And by the way, you can stream a lot of movies too. So there's some really fun movies that you could stream and just have fun with them. Light movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, brain break. With this Netflix going on now, there's some tough movies out there you can binge on, and you really need to put a lot of thought into it. And then there's some light-hearted movies, or a Hallmark movie that's just like a brain break type of movie.
Yeah.
But just and then also take a walk. If you gave up your physical activities that you're used to doing, just at least take a walk, get some fresh air, get yourself out into nature a little bit, because I find that always changes my perspective on things a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about just being in your house, and I know it's hard, and you just want to cry and roll up in a ball, and I don't want to talk. I don't even want to listen to this video, let alone
That's right.
talking to anybody.
Okay.
And there's something about being stuck in your house, and you're not stuck, but you
You
are
feel
stuck
it. Sure. Sure.
because you don't want to get off the couch, you don't want to move, you don't want to take the initiative. But there's something about getting in your car and driving over to the local beach where there's water and just walking, even if it's for 15 minutes,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then getting back in your car and going home. It somehow breaks up
Gets you out.
something in your mind,
Yes.
right?
Yes. It gets
And
you
it
out.
gives you that shift if
That's
you
right.
need it.
That's right. That's right. I want to talk about finding new outlets. You know, a lot of us have different creativities. We could start a new hobby. We could start something that, I started sewing again. I used to sew all my kids' clothing and some of my clothing. And I started a new hobby again because I found that sewing was very therapeutic for me. I enjoyed patterns. I enjoyed making something from material. And so anything, even just developing a new exercise routine, just something that takes you, out of that situation, that shell, and puts you into something that maybe you can find some enjoyment out of.
You're in a box right now. When these changes happen, you're in this box, and sometimes you don't want to get out of it. You just want to stay in that box. But it's healthier to try and get out of that box a little bit,
Yeah.
to step out of that box.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's something as simple as your eating routine, maybe it's time to get a little healthier again, and let's see if we can eat more, fruits and vegetables, and look at some recipes and look at some cookbooks and arrange your meals a little bit different now in a healthier way, instead of maybe you didn't care or you ate so bad before. That may not be you. You might have ate healthy all your life, and you're the most physically fit person out there, and that's okay. But we're just trying to give you some ideas on stepping outside of where you're standing right now.
Yes.
Will help with the changes that are happening.
Does. I have another one that I really like. It says embrace the things that matter the most to you. And I think going back to finding meaningful things that you feel you can relate to, that, might mean something to you. Maybe you can support others. Maybe you can, uplift them, some sense of purpose, maybe some community thing, something that you can embrace. And
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Lisa. And I think about how loss shifts our whole perspective about life in general.
Yeah.
Right. And we see things a little bit differently after losses. I mean, I had 14 losses in a 2-year period, and you just see things differently. Certain things don't matter anymore.
That's right.
Talk about chicken soup for the soul, or what's the other
book? Don't sweat the small stuff.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Book.
That's what I'm thinking,
That
because that's what happens after a loss, and when big changes come into your life. You don't care about the things that were dramatic and crazy before. Now you care more about the simple things and the more important things, and visiting and spending time with people, right? Because that life's short and
precious,
right? Yeah. Good word.
Yeah. So setting limits and boundaries, even though you're home, I think looking at what you're doing and how you do it and protecting your mental health, setting your own limits in your work, maybe even saying no sometimes where you might have said yes, but watch the pressure that you might put on yourself, and
that's really important.
What are they going to think? What are they going to do? Doesn't matter. I think you just have to be really honest with what you can handle and what you can do.
You know why that's so important, Lisa? Because it's not just you that you need to put the boundaries up for yourself, but you need to put boundaries with other people.
Yes.
I'm telling you, as much as I'm a Christian and I love everybody, there are people that are crazy in this world.
Yeah, they are.
They really are. And they push the buttons and they push the limits, and they expect you to behave in a certain way. And if you're not behaving in that way, they'll be the first ones to tell you. So have some of those boundaries around yourself and those limits. Know what you can do and what you can't do, and be confident about that decision.
That's right.
And just look somebody in the eye and say, hey, this is where I'm at right now. I may be okay next week. I'm not right now.
Yes.
So you can sit with me and hold my hand, or you can go.
Yeah. And that's going to feel really good, by the way. That's empowerment. That gives you the strength and gives you the privilege to fight, to, honor yourself. And that's what you should be doing. This is about you and your needs. I want to talk about, since Thanksgiving's coming up, I want to talk about adapting celebration events and milestones. We all went to a certain place or did a certain thing on a certain day because it was a certain holiday, and you don't have to. I even told people in a group that doesn't have to be called Thanksgiving Day if that bothers you. Call it a day of thanks. or call it, Grateful Days or whatever you want to call it. But it doesn't have to be with everybody. If you don't want it to be with everybody, adapt it. Figure out how it works for you and how you can make it comfortable for you so that it works for you.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. People
that's
told me
really, that's
all
important.
about the pressures they were feeling. And I said, stop. You got to look at what you can handle, look at what you can do, and figure out how you can maybe change it up a little bit
Yeah.
so that it works for
And
you.
even, going places, if people aren't coming to you and you're going to them, set an expectation that I'll go for an hour or
Yes.
two.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
And then while you're there, you'll have the option of leaving. You said I was going to leave by 6 p.m. or staying,
Yes.
if you're enjoying your time with the other people,
Yeah, that's great.
But it has to be, not only holiday activities like this, but daily activities. You have to find things, and they may be new things, that bring peace and comfort into your world.
Yes.
And that was huge for me, because I know after all my loss, all I thought was, I've had so much chaos and drama and sadness and overwhelm. I want peace. I just want peace. And I kept saying that to myself after all of this. So by saying that to myself, then I started looking for things that would bring me peace,
Mm.
and not so much noise in my life, and
Yeah.
to bring a little more quiet into my life. And I've introduced things like that, through the things I read, the different music that I might listen to now, the quietness. I mean, sometimes it's hard to be quiet. People have that background noise on, have that TV going, have that music blaring in the background. Try shutting it all down.
Yeah.
And I find that alone brings me some peace. I don't always have to go for a walk listening and learning about that audiobook or listening to my loud music. You know, there are different ways that you can tweak and bring that peaceful and calmness into your world. And it can shift. Your life can shift with the changes.
Yeah.
So that's important to remember, that it's really, really possible. Another thing I brought into my life were more relaxation techniques like meditation and deep breathing.
Yes. Yes.
All over YouTube are guided meditations. You don't even have to do it yourself. You put them on, find one that looks good to you, and they'll take you through the next 45 minutes, and they'll take you into Never Land, and it feels really, really good when you're done doing that meditation.
Mm.
It helps your blood pressure, it takes your breathing to a whole new level, and it's, so these are different techniques that you can bring in when the changes happen.
I think also using spirituality, and I do want to mention that because I know that some people, that really is their go-to. That's
Of
how
course.
they survive.
Of course, of course. And it does help tremendously. I become more spiritual. I was always on the spiritual side, my whole life, but I've become even more spiritual after this, because I want answers. I just want to know that I'm a part of this world, and it's something so much bigger than we'll ever know. And that we are here for a short time. And I want to learn more about that, about our why we're here in this universe, why we're here learning and growing and going through the things that we're going through. So whatever it may be for you, some things may be a little more woo-woo than just reading passages in the Bible or other books, but it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Whatever floats your boat. That's what I say.
Yeah. And the other thing I think that's so important is that we all have to accept that it's okay to feel certain ways. It's okay. It's natural. People put a lot of pressure on themselves. Oh, I should be feeling this way by now, or I should do this by now. None of that stuff. I mean, we all have to do what's right for us and what we are up to and feel comfortable with. And we can't compare ourselves, and we can't worry about other people saying, well, it's been this and this. Why aren't you this? We can't worry about those things because it's
No.
not important. So
Exactly. And we've talked about, even in our other videos, about the loss of a spouse, and how some people will date a year or two later and be with somebody for the rest of their lives, while other people still take 5, 6, 7, 10 years, or may not find somebody else,
Yep.
in their life. And either way, these whatever outcomes these changes take you down your journey, it's okay.
Yes.
It's really okay. You do what's good for you.
Yes. Yes. And in the same way, make sure that you allow yourself to grieve. You have to be in touch with the feelings that you have. And grieving, by the way, isn't just a loss. Grieving is things are different now. Things may never be the same. That's grieving. You mentioned a lot of different losses, a job, a house, there's so many different losses, and all those mean change. And it's not the way was before. So we should allow ourselves time to say, I miss that house, I miss that way that was, I look at holidays, I look at things that are different now than the way they were before. And it's taken, time and effort to adapt to the new things. And they'll never be the same. I'm grateful that they were the way they were before. They worked, it was wonderful. And now it's different. It's going to be different.
Yeah.
So they have to accept. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also make sure you connect to people who uplift you. There are a lot of people who tend to be negative and they stay negative around you, and that might not be the best people to have in your life, especially at certain times in your life. So
Yeah.
connect to those who seem to be more positive and give you more of the strength that you need to support you.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Say a little prayer. Pray for that.
That's
And
right.
watch the new people that come into your life.
That's right.
That's
right. Yeah.
So I think, the key is, though, really, no matter how hard it is with changes, whether it's divorce or a loss or, some of these horrific changes, these people who lose their homes,
Yes.
with these weather things that are going on,
Yeah.
throughout the country. These are all horrific changes, but
Yeah.
it's a matter of just being mindful, sitting with yourself, getting perspective on things and finding your strength, pulling up your strength and as much positivity as you can. And sometimes when all else fails, get support.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
get support,
That's
whether
right.
it be from a good friend or a family member or professional
Yeah.
professional help. It's there. It's all out there for you. And some of you may need it. Some of us needed it,
Yes.
right?
That's
And it's
right.
not a bad thing to get the support you need to help you get through and cross that bridge,
Yes. Yes.
right? Where you might not have been able to before. Because think about it, when we talk about changes, shifting your perspective and putting things into perspective, we do have a choice. I mean, you could sit and cry and bury your head under the blanket for the next 10 years.
That's right.
You're not helping anybody else. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping your family or your children or your friends. I think that's only hurting yourself. It's only hurting yourself. So, by shifting and finding ways to get through these challenges that we all have.
Yeah.
As human beings, we were put here onto this earth to learn and grow through these challenges. That's what I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to get through them, there's many ways to do that, but you need to either seek out the help or, I'm a big avid lifetime reader. So anytime I'm having an issue with anything in my world, I'll find a book about it.
Mm-hmm.
I find a book, and I love audiobooks now more than even reading them anymore. And I find that book and I listen to it and I learn from it and I grow from it. And it always helps me feel a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
It shifts your perspective
It does.
and helps you
It
see
opens up
things
your
in a
eyes.
different
Yes.
light.
It opens
Some
up your eyes.
people that, the authors, certain authors that are so smart and have these different ways to view, the topic, the theme that you're going through right now. Trust in that. Have an open mind and just listen. Just listen to what they have to say. And you may end up feeling like, wow, You know, they were right. I see it a little bit differently now.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. Life is hard.
Yes, it is. But life is so amazing.
Life is so hard, but yet it's so amazing, right?
Yep.
You
Yep.
can bring the magic back, even after the most horrific of changes. You
Yes.
can bring that magic back.
Yeah, and let me just reiterate that I think that people underestimate how strong they really are. It's amazing what circumstances we are all put into, and that we come out, obviously with some scars, but we still come out fighting. It's amazing to me what we all are capable of. I mean, I
Yeah.
know even for myself, I relate things and I tell people and they're looking at me with this mouth open. And I don't look at it that way, but for others and how our lives, you too have been, yeah, they look at us and say, wow, you've been through a lot. Not everybody's been through a lot of different things in their own world. And we are able to still live and survive. And when we need help, we got to go ask for help from the people who love us, the people who care about us, the people who know and understand what we're going through, or people who are professionals and who know how to help us through it. All those things. Yeah.
You know, and even for those of us that feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've been through the most horrific life experience and I'll never get over this. Always remember that there are worse
Oh yeah.
experiences
Oh yeah.
than the ones that you go through.
Yeah.
You know, and people do have it worse, amazingly. We may not hear about it often, but they're there.
Yes.
So just embrace your world, embrace yourself, embrace your challenges, and help yourself to get through. And honestly, we really can't depend on the outside world to do that for us. I find it comes down to us doing
Taking
it for
charge.
ourselves,
Taking charge. Yep.
taking the steps, learning, taking charge, and
Yeah.
becoming that independent, thriving person again by ourselves.
That's right. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good.
I hope this
So,
helped a little bit today.
yeah, me too. And just talking about support, my support group has gone through two episodes so far, two sessions, and we're moving along. Wednesday night, we'll be talking again about Thanksgiving the next day and how that feels because it is different without those people who were with us. And then we have sessions leading up, of course, to Hanukkah and Christmas and all that as well. So that's been going well. And it's nice to have a place, where we all understand, our challenges. So
Of
that's what
course.
I've been
Of
doing.
course. And I do a few different things, and you can see them on my website. The website's above me. But one of the important things that I want to mention today is the healing garden. And the healing garden is a bowl filled with a dozen stones with special messages on them for somebody to sit and breathe. And there's instructions on how to meditate 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening. And it's an important gift to give. You know, I was in the flower business for many years. Flowers do die.
Yes,
You
they
know,
do.
I love flowers, so it's a beautiful thing. But with this healing garden, it's an opportunity to show how much you care when a friend is going through one of these challenges, like we're talking about today, and you just don't know what to do or what you don't know what to say. So the healing garden is a perfect gift to send. I send nationwide. If you have a friend who's grieving, there's one for grief. There's one for a cancer diagnosis. If you have a friend going through that challenge, pet loss, one for a caregiver who cares for the caregiver, right? And spirituality with scriptures on it. So you can find those on my website or on Etsy at the Healing Garden.
And a brief
And that's about
testimonial.
it.
A brief testimonial. I've sent 3 so far. And I do want to mention it because each one has been very special. The grieving one from my friend who lost her brother in a sudden, horrible tragedy. My friend who's a caregiver for a husband who does have a cancer diagnosis, and my friend who lost her pet.
Oh, that was the recent one. Yeah. Yeah. And I was able to personalize it, right? So I put a few stones with her pet's name on it, Bambi,
Bambi.
right?
Yep, that's
Bambi,
right. All
Bambi.
three had really appreciated the healing
Oh, good.
garden. So I thank
Wonderful.
you so much for that.
Yeah, so, and this happens every day. Surprises happen in our life every day. So whether you're going through the change or the season, the change of season, somebody who is.
Yeah.
So just be mindful with them too, and just be a shoulder, right?
Yes,
Because people just like to talk and need to vent about what's going on in their lives. So just be there.
yes,
Nothing really that you have to do, just be,
yes.
right? So it
Great.
was really nice to see you again, Lisa, and
Nice
we'll catch up again next week.
We will. You have a great week and
Thank
enjoy
you.
the Thanksgiving all. Happy
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Take care of yourself, everybody. Okay.